an example of classes and methods using Java. I'm going to create a Java application. So I've made an example with a couple methods on it. There's a display info method. Now you notice inside of my package I've got one class. It's called Java Demo Classes. Inside of this class I've got my main method, and then I created two more. Now you notice these methods are independent from each other. Okay, so they don't know that the other methods exist. So if I want this display info method to run, I need to say specifically from another method that go ahead and run this method called display info, and then it will run that. Same way with the discount method. There's a little bit of a difference with my discount method in as much as I'm passing information to it. I'm passing a double data type called price and a double data type called discount. So I'm passing that down. Well, it could be up, it could be down. I'm passing this to my discount method, and I'm passing the price as PR. I'm passing the discount as DSCNT. So when they're passed to this method, that is their new variable name. So I do some calculations, and this one returns a double data type. And in this case it's called savings. So when it returns back up here to the calling method, it saves it to the variable called savings. Now you notice this method returns a value, but it only returns one value. So when we do it this way, it only returns one value. Now there are ways to change more than one value, but for now, when we return something, we're only returning one value. Okay. I'm going to overload this method called display info. And here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste an exact copy of this below. When I do that, it gives me an error message, and let's see what the error message says. It says method display info is already defined. Yes, it's already been defined up here, but let's make changes to this one so that it's a little different. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass a double data type, and I'm going to call it price 2. Okay, so now those all went away, even though I've got a display info here, I've got a display info here. Two methods with the same name. They're both void, they're both static, they're both public. So the only difference is the parameters that I'm passing. Here there are no parameters, and here there is one parameter with a variable for the price. So if I want to call this one, say I only call display info one time, but I'm going to pass the price when I do that. So how does it know which one of these methods I'm talking about? Well, it looks to match the header. This display info is passing one parameter. So I look at this one's not, so it's ignored, and this one is, so it uses this one. Okay, so that's overloading. methods with the same name, but in this case the arguments that are called the information that's passed is a little different for each one. So I could make as many of these as I want. It's just that I would need to change the information being passed, the data type. There needs to be some difference between those. Okay. So let's add a class to this. And I'm going to get rid of all this. And in fact, I don't really need any of this. I'm going to start from scratch. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I've got my package, and I've got my one class, Java demo classes. I'm going to add a second class to this package. So I need to add it outside of my current class. And I'm going to, whoops, I don't want to do it that way. I'm going to back up. Let me do it this way. I'm going to say on my projects, yeah, I know. On my projects, what I'm going to do is where's my Java demo classes? I'm going to right click and create a new Java class, and I'm going to call it spa service, and click finish. Okay, so I did that. I added that. It added it to the Java demo classes. And by the way, I needed to put comments in there with my name, class, and assignments, but I'll skip that for now. And then I'm going to add some code to this. And here I've got my class that I created. I added it into my package, and get rid of these. And here I've got a string data type called service description. It's private, which means it can only be seen within this class called spa service. So it's only can be seen within this class. Now again, there's ways to get around that, but for now we'll say that the scope of this is just these private variables are only available within this class. Okay, so I've got a string, and I've got a double called price, and then I've got something here, and it's public. Public means it can be seen by other classes, and it has the same name as the class, but it looks like it's a method. Well, what this is called constructor, and whenever you run the program and you create an object out of this class, or call this class, this is the first place it comes to. So this constructor doesn't construct anything. What it does is it serves as kind of an entry point for this particular class. So it's going to come here first thing, and it's going to set the service description as XXX, and it's going to set the price at 0. Okay. Public void, set service description, and it's being passed in a string called service, and then service is set to the service description. So this is a public method that's receiving a variable, a string variable called service, and it's assigning that to the service description. Let me put in a keyword here. I'm going to say this service description, and this means no. Okay. I'm going to okay. Set the price. Same thing with that. It's passing in the double data type for price, so it's going to set the price. Oops. This variable up here, and this one says it's a getter, and so it's getting the service description, and it's just returning whatever value is in the service description. Same way with the getter for the price, it's returning whatever the price is. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that now. Go back to my demo, and what I'm going to do is to let's create an object. So spa service, I'm going to create an object out of that, spa1, and create a new now. When I do that, oops, when I do that, I'm calling a default constructor, and I'm not passing any information to it. Well, I don't want to do that. I want to use so I'm doing this where I'm calling this spa service. That's the constructor, and the information is already set in there. Okay, so let's leave it that way for now. Alright, so now that I've created that, let's see what we can do with that. How about if I spa1 dot, and these are all the properties, methods that I have associated with that, and you'll notice that one of them is set the price. And where's my get price? There it is. How about if we get the price? And so let's create a variable, double data type, and then we're going to go down here and say okay. Let's see if this will work. I'm going to run this, and when I do, it went and picked up the price. Now if I go over and look, what it did is it created an object from that spa service, and I can create as many objects as I want to from the spa service, and it said block out an area of memory and call the constructor. Okay, so blocked out an area of memory for this object, and call the constructor, and when the constructor ran, it set the service and set the price at 0. Let's go back. So now I created a variable here, the price. So now that object has a method called getPrice. So it called the getPrice method, returned 0 to the price. So now when I run this, system.out, and the price equals 0. Okay, so I can call any of those methods, or I can get any of those properties that I want to from the spa service. So all of these are available to me. Okay, and they're available because they're public. Let me turn this from public to private. Let's see what happens to our program now. Okay, and I get a little red squiggly line. It says the get price has private access in spa space, and so it is no longer accessible to other classes outside of spa service. All right, change that back. So that those are the basics.